Making mistakes when you're investing in real estate rental properties or real estate in general is not an option. We want to never make mistakes, and I want to show you the top 15 very expensive mistakes that you're going to do in your business if you don't learn them ahead of time. Hey everybody, Dustin here with Master Passive Income, and I want to show you how to invest in real estate. So subscribe to my channel. Don't miss out on all this great content, all this great ways to invest in rental properties and make passive income to quit your job. So subscribe to my channel right now. Now let's get into the actual meat of this video where we're talking about the expenses that you can actually come across as a new investor. See, I started investing and I did all of these mistakes, and one after another, I kept learning that was wrong. Don't do that. This was right. Continue to do that. And so I want to share with you all the lessons that I learned, and hopefully you will be able to save tens of thousands of dollars and loads of your own time doing it the right way. And the first issue that I see many starting investors do, and I did myself, is not making money when you buy the property. Now that might be kind of weird. How do you make money when you buy the property? Well, you make it by capturing equity in the property. You capture equity when you buy a property for lower than the value of the property. Now let me give you an example. Let's say you're going to buy a house. It's worth $150,000, but you negotiate with the seller and you negotiate down to $130,000. Well, you just made $20,000 in equity right then and there from the seller. They might have a great deal. They might have bought it back, 40 years ago, and they don't owe any money on it. They're making a good deal by selling to you, and you're making a good deal capturing that equity. So that's how you make money when you buy a property, by negotiating and getting it lower than the actual value of the property. Another big thing that I see all investors do is they buy a property with little to no cash flow in the rents that you receive minus your expenses. Because the way it really works out when you invest in real estate rental properties, you have your expenses. You add up all your expenses, your taxes, your insurance, your mortgage payment, all that sort of stuff. You add all those up, that's your expenses. Then you have your income, which is your rent. That difference there is passive income. Now, I've heard many investors say, well, as long as I'm making $50 per month on a property, I'm happy. Or I'm making $100 a month, I'm happy. I completely disagree with that. Here's the reason why. If you're only making $100 a month, let alone $50, but if you're only making $100 a month, and after an entire year of perfect renting, nobody's evicted, it's not vacant, that's only $1,200. Now, $1,200 is a lot of money, but what happens if you have a furnace go out, or a water heater, or the roof go out? God forbid something happened like that. Then all of that $1,200 is literally taken, as well as you have money coming out of your pocket on top of that. So what was a great passive income of $1,200, it's now gone because of these expenses that can come up. Now, you're going to account for these expenses like repairs and maintenance, but big ticket items, we want to make sure we cover for that as well from all the money that we basically account for all those expenses. Now, what I do, and when I teach all my students, and every property that I buy or that we buy, we make sure we have $250 or more in passive income. That's a big pro tip I'm going to give you, is $250 or more in passive income. And you might be saying, oh, Dustin, that's really hard to do. How do you do that? Well, I invest in strategic areas that have good price to rent ratio. And I also have a video for that. Everything I talk about, there's more videos. And so watch in the description, look for those videos in there in the description of this video. And you'll see me talking about things like price to rent ratio, how I utilize that to find great properties with low prices, high rents, and make a lot of money. Now, if you make $250 or more in passive income from a property, that's $3,000 a year in passive income. That's how I and my family live. We make our money off of real estate. So with 30 plus properties, we're making $250 or more on those properties. And some of them, actually a majority of them, we don't even have a mortgage. So we're making close to $400, $500, $600 on these properties. So you want to make sure you're making at least $250 or more on every single property. A big issue that I find that all investors do is we overestimate the amount of income that we think we can get from the property. So if it can rent for $1,200, you want to think that it rents for $1,100. So you go under. This is the big pro tip I want to give you. If you think it could rent for $1,200, lower the amount that you think you're going to get when you run your numbers by like 10%. And if you can still make money by lowering it 10%, if you can still make that $250 or more every single month, then it is probably a good property. So don't overestimate how much you can get in rent. You want to underestimate that. Now, like overestimating, you also have people, and I've done this too, I underestimated my expenses. I said, you know what? It's probably going to be around $800 a month in expenses, when it turns out I underestimated, either missed out on taxes or missed out on a fee or whatever it might be. I underestimated on my expenses, and everybody does this, and it would be a bummer if you think it's going to cost $800 a month, but it turns out it costs $900 a month in expenses. That would be a huge bummer. So you need to account for every single expense, and just like your rent, you want to be conservative on the lower end. Your expenses, you want to be conservative on the higher end. So if you think it's going to be $800, put your numbers at $850. If you put it at $850, which is more than what you think it's going to be, and you still make money if the numbers pencil out, then great, you have the fantastic property, because it's so much better to be surprised when you make more money than surprised when you're making less money. And most people, when they start investing in real estate, they start thinking of it like a home that they're going to live in. They start realizing or thinking that, hey, this is a house, and they get emotionally attached to a house. Because imagine this, you're looking for a house to live in. You know, you want a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, has 1,800 square feet, and you know which area you want to buy so you can live in it, good schools and all that sort of stuff. Well, you get emotionally attached. Like you put in offers, you get emotionally attached. That's why prices of homes go for way above what they're worth, because people get emotionally attached. We're investors. We don't do that. We absolutely do not get emotionally invested into any property. We buy a property that makes us cash flow, that makes us money, where we buy it for less than it's worth so that we make money. So don't get emotionally attached to any property. View your properties as a piece of inventory. Just like a convenience store has a candy bar is the inventory, your rental property is your inventory. So view it like an inventory. Do not get emotionally attached to any property that you're potentially going to buy. And the next big mistake that investors do, and I literally did it myself over and over again, is falling for sob stories when somebody doesn't pay the rent and not kicking them out soon enough. If they stop paying their rent, you need to get them out of there. I decided I needed to not let people stay in there for longer than they're actually paying. If they stop paying, you start the process of getting them out as quick as possible. And as you're accounting for expenses, you think of everything like taxes, insurance, your mortgage payment, but you cannot forget your rehab costs, your maintenance costs, the things that's going to cost to keep up the property, fix it up. There's a water leak or something happens. You need to account for that and put that in your budget. If you don't, you're going to be surprised in a bad way when you don't have enough money to cover these expenses and the repair. So make sure you account for repairs and maintenance inside of there. One quick tip that I'm going to give you on top of this, I'm not going to charge you any extra for this, is you need to also account for a vacancy factor. The vacancy factor is basically, your house is not going to be rented 100% of the time. Like literally all year long, it's going to be rented for 5 years or 10 years or 100 years straight. It's going to be rented. No, there's going to be a couple days, maybe weeks, maybe hopefully at most a month where it's not rented. You need to account for that, and that's something called a vacancy factor. Maybe it's like 5% of the time of the entire year, 5% it's not rented. So you need to account for that, because sometimes it's not going to be rented. Now, hopefully it's going to be rented the entire year. They stay in there for 5 years or more. That's great, but you also need to account for that as well. Now, this next one, I got to give you a story. So I invest in Ohio, Texas, and Arizona. And my first property I was buying in Texas, I accounted for the taxes. The taxes in Houston, Texas, I accounted for the county taxes. It was like $1,200 for the property. I was like, great, I'm going to make a lot of money on this property. Taxes are only $1,200. I was going to make like $600 a month in passive income. And then I buy the property, not knowing there was a city tax. That city tax was another $2,300 on top of that. And so, oh my goodness, I went from $600 a month down to like $250 or $300 a month in passive income. It's still good. It's still a great deal. Still make a lot of money, but you need to account for every single tax. Talk to your realtor, talk to anybody, like call up the county, call up everybody that you can to see to make sure you're paying all the taxes. So account for every bit of the taxes. And another thing that I did when I first started, and I know everybody's going to do this because all of my students who I coach how to invest in real estate, they jump the gun and they start looking at one property manager and say, hey, this one property manager is good. Let's go ahead and go with that. Say, no, that's not the way to do it. We want to interview many different property managers. What I did was I hired the very, very first property manager that I found. I said, okay, you say you're a property manager, go ahead and start managing the property. It should be fine. Turns out they started stealing from me within 6 months. You don't want that. So what I encourage you to do is absolutely to vet your property managers. Hire the property manager right the first time. Another huge one that you must do is you make sure that you run your business as a business. Now, when I say that, it means have business processes in place. Rent's due on the 1st. it's late after the third. Then you give a 3-day notice. Then if they don't pay, you start the eviction process and you don't stop until they pay everything. That's a part of the business process. Another business process would be, hey, the tenant wants to have a repair done. Let's say, I don't know, they want the carpets cleaned. Well, that's not necessarily something that you absolutely need to do. Your property manager is going to be the one overseeing that. And so what you want to do, you want to make sure you're running your business as a business where the tenants, they put in maintenance requests to the property manager and they request it from you. Anyways, there's business processes you have to put in place so that it can run itself. See, I have 30 plus properties. And I literally only work 30 minutes a month on all of my properties because I just look at the statements, make sure that everything's going right, and then I put it away. I don't do anything else. And you can do that too if you develop the business first and then buy the property and have it run itself. Now, here is one that you must do. If you take anything out of this entire video, this entire lesson, I want you to make sure you do a background check. Absolutely do a background check on every single tenant. I'll give you an example of why. I got an application for a property, a tenant to come into my property. On paper, they look fantastic. Stellar background on the paper, like writing it down. Stellar employment history, stellar money, living, like they have never been evicted, all that great stuff. They look fantastic. Then I ran a background check. It cost me $30, and I found out they were evicted 4 times in the last 3 years. And I told myself, I'm not going to be the 5th time, so I just passed on them. And I would not have known that if I did not do a background check. Now, as you're investing, you might find an area you're like, I want to invest. I have money. I want to buy that property. Well, another big problem is becoming impatient. Becoming impatient and jumping the gun and buying a property that is not the right property. It's not in the right area. You haven't vetted it with property managers. Nobody is actually watching over it to make sure it's going to be a good property. And jumping the gun. And what's going to happen is as you're looking at the market, you're seeing every single property on the market in the city, you're going to see new ones pop up. You're like, man, that's a great deal. That's new. Let me jump on it. So be patient. You're going to do so much better if you're patient and wait for the right property. Also, a big problem is when investors think of this as a sprint. It's like, let's get out the gates running as fast as we can, buy as many properties as we can. What it comes down to, real estate investing in rental properties is a get wealthy plan. It's a way for us to get wealthy, also rich too, but we also get wealthy. And the biggest thing is it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. We're gonna get there, property after property. It's like a hurdle. Just get over the next one, then get over the next one, and get over the next one. Check out this video right here. I want you to get into that video. I want to show you how you can start investing. Subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in the next one.